Howdy folks, today we're going to be looking at position 1 and why position 1 is so great, why position 1 is called position 1, why isn't one of the other positions called position 1, why some guys seem to have made an entire career out of playing just around position 1, why don't we stay in position 1 all the time. So the solo you saw at the start was just based around virtually just position 1, and I did a lot of different stuff within it. We're going to look at all that different stuff, we're going to talk about that. And we're also going to talk about why I go on an awful lot about not playing in position 1. And the reason I go on about not playing in position 1 is because lots of people are just stuck in position 1. But that doesn't mean position 1 is bad. Position 1 is fantastic. And we should make the most out of position 1 and incorporate all those lovely ideas that we do into position 1 into our other playing as well. So let's look at position 1, why it's great, why it's so fantastic. Let's have a bit of fun with it. So we're doing position 1 in C. Right, now the reason it's called position 1 is simply this. This is the C note, right? And it's the first position where we've got a C note as a root on the E string. It's as simple as that, all right? All the other positions don't start with a C note on the E string, do they? In the key of C. So that's why it's called position 1. It's simple. One of the reasons it's so great is that everything comes down to the same fret. The left-hand side of it always starts in the same place. This makes it really easy to play because you're always coming down to that note there. All the other positions jump around a little bit. Position 1 doesn't. So that's kind of why it's really good. Another reason it's really good is it's got some great bending opportunities in it. So this note, this one here, is a great note to bend. This one is a great note to bend. Let's look at why they're great notes to bend. So let's take this one. When I bend this one, I'm bending up to a G note. Well, the G is the 5th note in the C major scale. So I'm bending up to a chord tone. So that's got to sound great. And when I bend this note, I'm bending up to a C note, aren't I? And the C note is the root. That's going to sound good. Let's have a little look at this note. This note I'm bending up to an F. An F is the 4th note in a C major scale. So an F is not a chord tone. So that bend isn't quite as strong. Doesn't mean to say you can't do it, but it's not like a go-to place for bending for me. In position 1, I'll be bending this note, this one, and then coming out of position 1, this one. Okay, this is actually in position 2, but we're gonna think of extending position 1 a little bit here, yeah. And we're bending up to this note, which is the 5. So those are kind of like possibly the 3 most bent notes in blues and rock. This one, and this one in position 1, and then sneaking up into position 2 there. So we've got some great bending opportunities. The fact that we're coming down to this fret here all the time means that we can play lines like that very simply because we're just pulling off to the same point. Yeah, and I'm just mixing it up. It's all coming down to here, isn't it? Yeah. Also, you'll notice I did this. This is the minor 3rd. And it's conveniently located on the left-hand side of the position. And we tend to bend that minor 3rd a quarter tone in the blues. Yeah, so it's a little twig. And that pulls us back to the root. There's another minor 3rd here. So we can do that. Alright, so those are lots of reasons why position 1's cool. And also there's tons of licks written by other guys in position 1 that we can nick. That one, which is kind of a bit of a mix of, I think, sort of Chuck Berry and Jimmy Page. So that is a really cool thing to do. We've also got the flat 5 to play with. Yeah, and the flat 5 is, I mean, obviously it's in the other positions as well, but it's very conveniently located in this one. And we can bend this note a semitone to the flat 5, tone up to the G. Semitone, tone. So we've got two choices from this note, haven't we? We've got the flat 5 and the 5. Minor third. Yeah. I'm making the most, I'm extracting all the important little bits out of position 1 and putting it all together to create some really cool lines and hit some really hip notes. So right at the start, I've got this. And I'm thinking 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so I'm coming on the end of 3 and I'm creating a little path into this root note. There's a little tweak on my minor third there. Yeah. So that's starting me off. Now, at the start though, of the 1 chord, I don't want to go and do my bends high up here because I want to save that till later, yeah? So I'm kind of staying around this area. Yeah, and kind of tweaking little ideas around there with that minor third bend again, and really establishing the theme. And the theme is that. Yeah, really thinking about a little motif, a little line that the listener's going to come back to and kind of like holds the solo together. It's kind of like the glue of the solo, really. So when the 4 chord comes along, I do this. So now the 4 chord it's changing, isn't it, from the 1 chord to the 4 chord. So I want to change, and I'm kind of like stepping up a gear. Yeah, and bending that note that we said was a cool note to bend. All right, and then I'm just doing a little fast line like that, a little bit of dynamics there. I've done something quite slow to start off with, and now I'm just going quicker. I'm just upping the gears a bit, and I'm just coming down. Something like that. Ending on a root note. Yeah, and position 1 makes this easy because I'm coming down to this finger. And then I'm going something like that, and establishing that little motif again to say to you, look, this is the same solo as it was at the start. Yeah, we haven't gone somewhere else now, and that's really important to keep doing that in your solo. So now it's going to the 5 chord. So now I want to up the dynamics again. So now I'm going to this bend. Now I kind of think of these notes here as the same as these notes, because they are. So these notes and these notes are exactly the same notes. These are just an octave higher. So this bend is the same as that bend, but an octave higher. So I'm going, yeah. So if I do this, yeah, it's just an octave high. Dave Gilmour did this an awful lot. Then I did a fast run, which is just this. Some people call this the slash scale. He used it quite a lot. So I'm just going 11, 10, 8 on the E, the B, the G. And it sounds a little bit outsidey. It's not massively outsidey. And creates a little bit of tension, and that speed is there because we're over the 5 chord and we're in quite an unstable spot in the progression. And then I'm going back to and re-establishing the theme before it starts all over again. So let's look at the next 12 bars now. Now the next 12 bars, I don't want to do what I did in the first 12 bars. I want to up the game a little bit again. So I'm doing something like this. Yeah, but I'm kind of improvising with it as well. So I'm just doing these little double stops. So I'm just doing these little double stops, really. Yeah. So the A and the D string. And then I could put this together in lots of different ways. Maybe like that, yeah. Just experiment around with it, but it gives quite a cool, slippy, slidey sound. Yeah, I'm doing it slightly different there. Like do it there, couldn't I? And this is quite Stevie Ray Vaughan. He would have done this sort of thing with these double stops quite a lot. So that gave me a different sound as well. It's a bit of an unusual sort of sound, and that's quite cool in the solo because we haven't done anything like that so far. And then I went up to that bend after that. Let's see what I did next. And after that, I've gone to some faster. I'm just doing that little idea here. So I'm going 8, 11, 8. Hammer on, pull off. And then picking the 10th fret of the G string. Now, the right hand's really important here. You want to go down and up. This is to do with economy picking. I do a lot of this in my playing. It feels very natural to me. I'm picking inside the strings as opposed to outside the strings, which would be that needs more movement. That needs less movement. And then maybe. So this comes very naturally after this for me. And there's that minor third thing again. Yeah, so that's how I incorporate that fast bit. Again, a little bit of dynamics into the solo. Then we come to the 5 chord and I do this. So this note is not in the pentatonic scale. It's the 2 of the C, right? But it's quite a nice note to add in. But we're not playing over the C, are we? We're playing over the G. So if you look at it in relation to the G, it's the 5 of the G. Yeah, so it works very well over that 5 chord. And it just puts a slightly different sort of harmonic idea into the solo because we haven't played that note so far. So maybe something like that, and it just, there's a slightly different flavour there, which I like and I think is cool. So we've explored the solo and how the solo works and how I put it together. Think about getting that motif going. Think about when you're starting off, get a path into a root note. That's always a good idea. That establishes the root note and walks the listener into the root note to start off with. Then you get your motif going. And when it goes to the 4 chord, up the level a little bit, maybe by moving higher up the fretboard or doing something faster. Then you come back to your motif over the 5 chord, something fast or maybe a little bit outsidey works. And then you do the whole sort of thing again, but up another level, right? And that will give you a really good way of structuring your solo. And you can do this all from position 1. You don't need to go outside of position 1 to get some really cool hip lines. Now, I said at the start, why do I always go on about not playing in position 1 and trying other stuff? Well, it's because you don't want to be doing this all the time. Yeah, that's great. It sounds great. And I would do that a lot. I really love the sound of that. I think it sounds fantastic, but it means I'm missing out on a whole lot of other stuff, right? And as guitarists, we're very guilty. We tend to be very guilty of sticking in position 1 because it's like a comfortable pair of slippers that we put on. We know it's going to sound good. We know all these little licks around it and we just stick within it. But that restricts us an awful lot, you know, and makes our playing sound very samey. And it's very interesting to come out of that and try some of this other stuff, especially over a major blues, rather than just playing minor pentatonic over major blues. All those major tonalities that you're missing are super duper cool, yeah? And I love all that stuff. So although position 1 is great and you should play around with it a lot, you know, don't stick with position 1. But at the same time, don't ignore position 1. You know, don't think, oh, everyone plays position 1, I shouldn't be playing position 1. You should be playing it a ton. Right? But don't make it the only thing you do. So don't forget to check me out on Patreon. Just click the link below there. Lots of great stuff in Patreon. I put a lot of stuff on about Cage recently. We've got the fantastic cross system on there, which you need to check out. Super duper cheap, okay? So make sure you check that out. Have fun. Catch you next time.